morning, this is Pond Boy for Pond Boy's Angling Adventures, the multi-species fishing show. We are going to continue our talk about basic fishing. Our first two shows, we had talked about some of the basic things you need. We talked about bluegills, basic bluegill crappie, and crappie fishing. We talked about some of the basic things you need. Pliers, rod, obviously, bug spray, if you got kids, snacks, some entertainment, proper apparel, sunscreen, tools, hooks, floats, weights. And we were talking about how floats and weights and hooks would catch just about every species. For bluegills, we talked about them being a shallow fish, especially in the summer, cruising right along shore, anywhere from 2 to 4 feet out, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet down. I had told you that floats, hooks, and split shot will catch just about any species, and for learning how to fish, this is your best arsenal to catch most of the species you will find in local lakes or ponds. Bluegills, we said to go very small with your hook, or to use ice jigs and use small larvae like waxworms or spikes, tiny pieces of crawler. They also sell plastic larvae, like our sponsors Aurora Lures, Makes Magic Maggie. We've talked about how they sell many other kinds of microplastics. And then we switched over to crappie and said how they're a little bigger fish. They're a little bit farther out. Most ponds go anywhere, small lakes go from anywhere to 7 to 10 to 15 feet. In casting distance, you're going to probably be in 7 to 10 feet. A lot of times those crappies, when they're not spawning, will be suspended. So you'll want to go to 3 to 4 feet down with your float. 1 or 2 split shots in the middle. A small gold Aberdeen hook will work for crappies. If you can get crappie minnows, that is the best live bait to use. Then again, you can go with many different. We had talked about how you can go with many different plastics for bigger crappies, crappie thunders, little meth spinners. We didn't mention small Mr. Twisters. We didn't mention mini mites. We did mention microplastics again. So your next fish, what are you going to do? What do you want to fish for? Well, you want to fish for, the next one would be bass. Bass would be your next logical choice, especially here in the Midwest. So, and most people are going to be fishing forest preserves, small lakes, and ponds. Now, bass, are structure-related fish. They will be found in a lot of the same places as crappie. A lot of these subdivision ponds are bowls. So they go down about, 2 to 3 feet, and then you get a nice drop to 5 to 7, 9, whatever. Bass will love to cruise that shelf around in circles. So bass, if you're going to use a float, we talked about different kinds of floats, slip floats and spring floats, and how I hate the red and white bobber ones, but if you got it, use them. But for bass, you want to, bluegill, you're 1 to 2 feet down real close to shore. Crappies, you're 3 to 4 foot down, suspended in anywhere from 5 to 10 feet of water. Bass, you're going to be maybe a little bit deeper, 4 foot down, 5 foot down. You're going to be fishing off any of these breaks I told you about. They're also a very structure-related fish, so if you can see a point, bays, fallen trees, some ponds use a lot of nice big riprap. They like to hang out around that riprap. Some have fountains and waterfalls are very popular. Lily pads, ambush points. You just want to look for a place that looks like where could a fish hide, and wait for other fish to come by and eat them. That will help you determine what sort of structure you should fish. And bass, you're going to use bigger minnows. We talked about how they sell different size minnows. Fatheads come in small, medium, large in most bait stores, and they have shiners or golden roaches, which are really big. You want to use the large fatheads or the shiners. Because they're bigger, so they'll help you catch bigger fish. They will catch bigger crappies. They will catch other fish. Minnows will catch a multitude of species depending on what's in the lake you're fishing. And that would be your first step for bass. You talked in other episodes, I'll mention it over and over again. These small ponds and lakes in your neighborhoods are not meant to keep fish. Most of them do not have stocking programs. you take the bigger fish out or too many fish out and you keep going, you will kill the spot. We call people that do that bucketheads. There's also a lot of rule breakers at forest preserves. All right, if you're not really into eating fish or you don't have to eat fish, I say catch and release. Let them go. Let them make babies. Let them get bigger so the fishing's better the next time. Because there are way too many guys that just don't care, and they'll break every rule and they will take every fish and they ruin it for everybody, and they ruin the sport of fishing. So, all right. So let's go to your next basic thing you would do at a pond. All right. Let's talk about the really basic catfish and carp fishing. All right. These are two of my favorites. I could go on talk to them about for hours, but I just want to talk about, all right, you're at your average pond. You want to go catch some catfish or carp. What do you want to do? Crawlers will sometimes catch carp, and they will catch cats. For cats, oh wait, the crawlers remind me on bass though. Crawlers, underneath your float. Take a big night crawler, use 3/4 of the crawler. Hook it once in the nose and once out the nose. Leave the the rest hanging down. Now, don't move it up close where those bluegills are because they will peck all your worm off. But you want to have a tail on your worm, about 3.5, 4 foot down. Cast it out. Bass will hit a night crawler, hanging down. Forgot about that, and that's a great bait for bass under a float as well. Catfish, carp, they both eat crawlers, but how are you going to get to them? Both are most of the time bottom feeders. Catfish will come up and hit a float with a minnow or a crawler. Carp have been known to come up and hit a crawler or a waxworm, but most of the time they're bottom feeders. So it's easiest bottom rig for somebody to start with. Easiest bottom rig that I can think of is a slip sinker rig. Now what that is basically you have a sinker and your line has a stopping point. All right, so you have like a leader. A leader is a section of line in front of usually a swivel or some sort of other stopping device. So you have a hook, a section of line, a stopping device, which is a swivel, and then you have a weight in front of that between the swivel and your rod tip, and it slides up and down the line. Easiest way to do this is what they call a barrel swivel. It's a little piece of metal. They sell them in packages. It has like a circle on each end, a ring on each end. So what you do is you're going to set up this rig, right? So you're going to take usually a 2.5 to 3 foot leader. A leader is basically, what they call the line that's the extra line that you put on the end of something, end of a fly rod, end of a rig. It's called a leader. So you're going to cut off a piece of your line 2 to 3 feet long. You're going to take your weight and you're going to put it on the line that goes to your rod, the one that slides. All right. Then you're going to take the barrel swivel and you're going to tie one end of the barrel swivel to the line to your pole. You're going to tie one end of your leader that you just cut to the other end of the barrel swivel. All right. I say use polymer knots whenever possible and trilene knots, and those are the first two easiest knots for the beginning fishermen to use, and you can find videos on these online. So you got your barrel swivel, you got a hook, a barrel swivel, and you got a weight. Now, what kind of weight do you want to buy for your sliding bottom rig? Well, there's several different ones. Lindy has made what's called a Lindy weight. It's a little bent piece of weight. Forever, there is what they call barrel sinkles. They're barrel sinkers that look like an egg, and they have a hole right through them. You can use those. You can even use worm weights, which they call bullet weights. They're shaped like a bullet. They have a hole through them. And they can use bell sinkers, which have like a little metal circle on the end that will slide back and forth. They have teardrop. All they have to do is have a hole in them to be able to slide up and down the line. All right, so what's going to happen is you cast this thing out, right, and your sinker's going to hit the ground. The fish is going to grab the hook. It's going to start swimming with the fish, and that line is going to travel through that weight. All right, so they won't feel the weight. That's why it slips. That's why you want it to slip. So when the fish grabs it, they're not feeling that weight, at least at first. They can take some line before they feel that weight. Hooks for carp I use a number 4, number 6 octopus hook, or actual carp hooks, which you can buy at some specialty stores and online. The easiest baits for catfish, the easiest hooks to buy are Eagle Claw has bait holder hooks or a snelled hook. And what's the easiest catfish bait that you can buy, you'll have easy access to? The first and favorite, but it is messy, is chicken livers. Now you'll hear a guy say, oh, you have to put them in pantyhose, or you have to wrap them in this. No, you really don't have to. All you have to do is keep them cold. If you're young, make sure your parents cut them for you. You want to cut them into, I don't know, cut them, small enough that if you put your thumb and forefinger together, make a big circle, a little about that size. What I use a sharp paring knife. I hold the chicken liver in my hand and I slowly cut up. Chicken liver's like flesh, so it has tendons and stuff. So if you rip it apart, it will not stay on hook. If you keep it cold, cut it with a sharp knife, use a bait holder hook, something that has a couple little barbs on it, it'll stay on there. And you fish this on the bottom. Catfish have whiskers. Most of the time you'll be fishing for channel cats or bullheads. They have whiskers that can sense taste just like sharks. They're usually hit pretty aggressively. You'll usually know when you get a hit. Chicken livers would be you can find them at most grocery stores in the chicken section, and they're your number one catfish bait that you can get. Kids have used hot dogs for years. It works. Cheese works sometimes. We can get into stink baits and dope baits later. Shrimp. You can buy shrimp at the store. When stores sell smelt, or you can get smelt from somebody who fishes like Michigan, that's also a fantastic bait for catfish. And you use this bottom rig, and you drop it on the ground. For carp, the easiest one to get, everybody has it, is either a bread ball, like white bread, make a ball, put it on, or corn. You get corn out of a can, thread 3 or 4 up onto the line, and fill up the hook with another 3 or 4, put it on the bottom. Now you're going to need something to put your rod in. Lots of different rod holders, but let's just talk about your basic fishing. You're getting started fishing, you just need something, all right? They sell these plastic, I call them Y sticks, at not Home Depot, at Menards, Walmart, Dick's, and basically it's a stick. It has a little extendable stick, has a little loosely. They sell them fluorescent colors, and it has like a V on the top, and that's just for you to sit your rod in. And all it does is let you be able to watch your line and keep your rod from being pulled in water. For years, they've sold these very sturdy metal. They're like a spiral, and then one straight piece of metal, and you stick them in the ground. And your rod holder goes inside the spiral, and those are nice, sturdy, and they will work fantastic for fishing on the bottom for carp and catfish. You're going to need a rag. Obviously, it's messy, or some wet wipes if you're fishing for catfish and you're using chicken livers, and you're cutting up. You're using smelt or using shrimp. That's the basic way to get your catfish, your bass, and your carp, and that basically sums up your most basic rigs for the top few species that are in most of the lakes, at least here in suburban Chicago, and I think you'll do very well. This episode was brought to you by DuPageAngler.com. They're one of the top 3 Chicago fishing websites. Their big difference between them and some of the other sites is their guys actually get together and meet in real life. It has a little bit of a Facebook interface in the front of it, so you can meet and talk with people. They have a great forum. And the big claim to fame is there really is no jerks on that site. The newest guy will have his questions answered nicely by the best and most experienced guys. So this is Pond Boy for Pond Boy's Angling Adventures. Go out and get your own adventure, and have a great day.